as you hear, we go to many shows. We try to support as many artists as we can. So your contribution also helps the underground metal scene because that's what we promote.
But not your shitty band, so don't contact us.
He would just point mostly, and I would have to say, honey, follow the dirty man with the thug life neck tattoo. Yeah, go ahead, go with him.
This friend of mine had one of those outdoor ponds installed in his yard. He's very proud of it, showing off his fish collection. I was kind of hungry. All I could think of was what size bun the fish would fit on after I grilled it. Christ, he was yammering on about filtration. I'm thinking condiments. I always liked those fish that attach themselves to the side of the tank and eat the algae. I think they're cool looking. I looked it up, and their technical name is a pleco fish. Most people, though, call them the sucker fish. And this is also because you can trick them into bogus real estate investment. The good thing is the menu at the carnival covers all the food groups. Dippin' Dots, funnel cake, French fries, corn dogs, fried Snickers bars. Yay! Fill up the kids with that crap and then strap them into the giant free fall ride. Hell yeah.
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.
We had a busy week this week.
Mm-hmm.
We went on a journey to see Bywater Call, where you'll be hearing more about them from us in a couple weeks. We already reviewed the album. Amazing show.
It was like seeing Chicago in 1968 or something. It was great.
Stick that guitar.
Songs were great. It was one of the best shows I've been to in years.
Amazing vocal performance, very impassioned. So,
and here's a picture of us with Megan and
Dave.
Megan and Dave. Yeah, we had a great time. So, and then last night we
went out to our beloved Metro
gallery.
We were lucky enough to see the opening show of this tour, opening up with Castle Rat, who I kind of have a soft spot for. I like her. The Queen and the Realm, and those who would.
There were plenty of props.
It was a sword battle.
Yeah, plenty of between song banter, as it were. And they sounded great.
Yeah, lots of Sabbathy informed riffing going on.
Lots of cool merch too. A lot of things featuring her costume. So. And then Greenlawn. They were awesome. Yes.
So they came all the way over the pond. Wow. Yeah, they put on a great set. I was so excited when they launched into Maxine. I was jumping like a sophomore girl.
Yep. Great. So
good night.
Anyway, so all this stuff is live streamed on our Instagram page. So go over and check out Instagram.com/snaggletooth_RNR.
Yeah,
you can see us enjoying the good times.
Sadly, my phone was a little low on battery, so I only did one stream of Greenlawn, but I wish I could have done more. I'll have to check that later next time.
Yep. So let's do the segment called Tanks for the Memories.
Tanks.
Yep.
So an aquarist is the technical name for fish tank enthusiasts, if there were such a thing. I've always found it interesting that someone wants a little cube of Atlantis in the middle of their living room or office. Fish keeping also seems a little less dangerous than beekeeping, unless you're breeding piranhas or some such
I don't think you have
shit.
to put on a suit for fish keeping.
You know, it's not just about deciding between angels and clownfish either. There are so many ways to accessorize your little aquatic environment, from bonsai trees to mini frogmen to treasure chests to a mini Buddha for fishies seeking spiritual enlightenment.
How thoughtful.
I mean, what fish wouldn't find it fun to swim in and out of a gaping human skull? You know, I guess they do that in real life on occasion. I mean, you also must have an underwater castle and the obligatory pirate chest that opens and closes. I mean, we don't want our fishies to get bored. He's like, almost got me that time, chest. Haha.
My parents were really into aquariums when we were kids, and they kind of overdid it. Our fish's castle had cable TV and central air.
Whoa.
You know, they weren't messing around. When I was a kid, my dad and I found a crayfish in a local stream, right?
Yeah.
And because we're stupid, we put him in with fish tank.
Oh, God.
Well, he partied like no other. Overnight, he ate all the other fish and did a complete redecoration, yanking out all the plants and toys that were all just floating on top when I came downstairs. Must have been like him cleaning out a golden corral and trashing his hotel room. I think it was the greatest night of his life. Anyway, yeah.
If you put him back in the stream, he probably still tells the legend.
I know, yeah.
Pufferfish have these sharp beak-like teeth. And they have them because they actually feed on crustaceans. They're kind of hard to crack. There's this Instagram page with a guy feeding the pufferfish all manner of crab, shrimp, and crayfish. He even fed it a scorpion once, which got me thinking, can scorpions survive underwater? I think Rudy could because he's still in good shape, but Claus and Matthias would probably have to come up for air. Maybe a little scuba gear. Diving like a hurricane, people.
He's a woman. She's a guppy. I always liked those fish that attach themselves to the side of the tank and eat the algae. I think they're cool looking. I looked it up, and their technical name is a plecofish. Most people, though, call them the sucker fish. And this is also because you can trick them into bogus real estate investments. There's one born every minute, people.
I always thought they were tank cleaners.
An octopus is an exotic choice for an aquarium pet. And I was reading about this guy. He had a pet store. And on one side of the store, this fish kept disappearing, right, out of this tank. He had to put in a camera, and it turned out that the octopus would slither out of its tank, slide over, climb up, and eat the fish out of the other tank, and then go back. Kind of reminded me of what my ex used to do with my credit cards until I started hiding my wallet. That woman spent money like she had 8 arms herself. This friend of mine had one of those outdoor ponds installed in his yard. He's very proud of it, showing off his fish collection. I was kind of hungry. All I could think of was what size bun the fish would fit on after I grilled it. Christ, he was yammering on about filtration. I'm thinking condiments.
Yeah, it makes me think of my mom's pond. They got this gorgeous pond, Falls, but immediately they had a heron move in who was happily eating their fish.
I would have just put feeder fish in just to get the heron to keep coming,
But they didn't like it, so they had to put netting up, and then they had ducks try to move in, which apparently caused an outbreak.
Now it's it's
Fort Knox.
It's like more. She spent more than more than we spent on this house.
It's
on the pond.
an enclosed pond, practically, to keep out.
She loves that pond. She talks about it all the time. The fish are spawning and whatever. Like, what's that in the tank? Oh, sperm. Ugh. Yeah, a little weird. Yeah.
Anyway, going on about more fishy stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk online about the impact of the invasive species, the snakehead fish.
Yeah.
But I tell you, the real problem is the dickhead fish.
Yeah.
Flipping you the fin and nibbling worms off hooks with reckless abandon, not having the decency to get caught. This guy is the real problem.
You don't hear much about the dickhead fish. You really don't. Betas are colorful and flashy, but I was reading about them online, and it said that you can only have one in the tank at a time because they fight. Weirdly, if you have 2 betas, they constantly fight over who's the alpha. Isn't that weird? I got my parents a pair of goldfish in this big bowl for Christmas last year. I knew they'd love it because it doesn't have a filter, and neither do they. My mom thanked me. My dad made some racist comments about Asians. It was a wonderful day.
God. My daughter won that free goldfish at the carnival. And I figured I wouldn't live long, so we got a little bowl, but she loved it so much.
And his name was?
She was about 2 or 3, and when I asked her what his name was, she said, Hap. And I said, oh, Happy? She says, no, Hap. So
made up her own word.
Christened it Hap. So I thought, oh, I got to take care of this properly for her. Plus, that bowl would get gross every day. So I got her the 10-gallon tank and the filter and all the fish trappings and a friend that they talked me into. So that free fish was really a plot between the carnival and PetSmart to make me spend $100. So the friend I got him needed heat, more accoutrements.
Right.
So I had to get, it was like the slide tube that sat in the water and would keep it warm enough for the other guy. So, once when I was having to do the deed and cleaning the whole tank, which was such an effort, you had to move him to another bowl and clean everything.
Everything out, yeah.
So I wiped everything down, and somehow when I cleaned that heater tube, I apparently slid it all the way up to boil a fish.
Oh, mine was fish soup.
I didn't realize it, so I put everything back in, replaced the fish, and later I came back into her room to see her fish obviously struggling. He was practically gasping. So I touched the glass just on impulse, and it was boiling hot to the touch. I mean, I could barely put my hand on it. So it's effectively cooking my daughter's fish. I tried moving him quickly back to just, the bowl, which would be cooler until I could get the water to cool down, but it was too late. New trip to PetSmart with a dead fish in a baggie to find one that looked just like him. And my daughter would never know that I fried her fish. But my Mom of the Year award was lost, just like that.
Yeah. She's going to find out now. You're going to get a nasty text after this. And everybody knows you should have stir-fried the fish. Been a lot more efficient. All right, our feature interview this week is with Karl, Agell, and Ron Holzner of the exciting new Doom supergroup Legions of Doom. We have a downright jolly chat with these two about all things Trouble, St. Vitus, COC, and how this amazing new band came together. Which member of the band can be described as bubbly? You'll just have to tune in and see. So let's kick it off with a song from Legions of Doom. This is Hollow by All Means. Okay, let's talk about Patreon. The site is patreon.com/Snaggletooth Podcasts. And for $6.66 a month, you get enough Mark and Stace to cause some sort of labor-related incident.
We have new music reviews up this week. We've been working our way through the Thin Lizzy catalog. Which one was good? Which one was bad? Which one is our favorite?
Yeah.
So in joining, you will help support the show. As you hear, we go to many shows. We try to support as many artists as we can. So your contribution also helps the underground metal scene because that's what we promote.
But not your shitty band, so don't contact us. Anyway, this week we're going to talk about Thin Lizzy's 1977 album, Bad Reputation. What do we think about that? You'll just have to head over to Patreon and see to get all the deets, you know. Okay. So we talked about the free fish at the carnival.
Yeah.
That secretly you think is hooked in with PetSmart. I think that the relationship between carnivals and aquariums is really well illustrated by that story. And I've often thought that most people that start with the free fish end up spending a small fortune when all's said and done. Little kids love those carnivals, right? But for the parents, not quite so much fun. $9 for you and your little one to whip around in a rickety trash can shaped like a teacup until one of you throws up over the side. Yay!
You know, I would always try not to look too hard at the construction of the rides when I put the kids on them. Everything is just held in place MacGyver-like with duct tape, bungee cords, and there's always a dude that looks like he just escaped from Leavenworth, working the controls and securing the kids in the rides. And I noticed they would never talk to the kids a whole lot. He would just point mostly, and I would have to say, honey, follow the dirty man with the thug-like neck tattoo. Yeah, go ahead, go with him.
I'll strap you in. How about the giant slide? You ever experienced this nightmare? Walk up 400 narrow stairs to an altitude where the air is too thin to breathe. Somebody hands you a burlap sack to climb into. You go hurtling down this metal contraption that's been sitting in the hot sun all day. By the time you get to the bottom, you've had several heart palpitations and your ass has griddle marks on it. What do the kids say? Again, Danny.
I did like that on Instagram with the little Yorkie. He would run all the way up the stairs and then go wagging down. He would actually slide down the thing. And then he wanted to do it again, probably because he's got fur that doesn't,
Yeah, right.
Anyway, you end up spending $45 or more trying to throw a ring on some peg or popping that greased balloon with a dull dart to win your kid a crappy stuffed animal that you probably could have just gotten at Five Below. And, they're usually not that soft, huggable kind. They're just some kind of fabric or a hard foam block. Then the kid forgets, leaves it on the tilt-a-whirl.
Game over. The good thing is the menu at the carnival covers all the food groups. Dippin' Dots, funnel cake, French fries, corn dogs, fried Snickers bars. Yay! Fill up the kids with that crap and then strap them into the giant free fall ride. Hell yeah. Keep that garden hose handy, Papa, because it's no fun cleaning vomit off the child in a spot pot.
I learned them pretty quickly. The wristbands were the way to go. Even if you think you're saving money buying the tickets, they go through them like water, and then you're back in the ticket line. Wristbands, yeah, that was probably the cheaper way to go. Bumper cars are a beautiful, manly experience, said no one ever.
Right.
Ramming into family members at high velocity. Ever get stuck like in a corner and you can't get out? It's like one of those thug life guys has to hop on the side and pull you out like a Roomba stuck in a corner. This way, loser. So demoralizing. I always feel like I have to produce my driver's license to show them I actually can drive. And it's always very odd to me. The sparks flying off that electric conduit at the top. Is that UV compliant? Oh, well, I always enjoy an electricity shower while
it's-
covered in grease.
So odd. How does one develop the resume required to be a carnival barker? You just run your mouth nonstop into a megaphone without taking a breath? Ah, yes, come on down. 3 throws, $4. Look at this strong, strapping specimen. Come give it a try there, John L. Everybody's a winner. We've got chocolate turkeys for the little ones. 3 throws, $4.
I was always a little scared of that. Guess your weight correctly and admit you're a fat ass in front of a crowd. Okay, Helga.
Absolutely. Okay, let's play some Legions of Doom. This is a song called Insecticide.
Seems like the other day you were playing to an empty lot. Another attempt to be loved by you. For something that you're not.
Okay, let's talk about Home Chef.
Yeah, our ad this week is our sponsor, Home Chef. We have been longtime customers. They always have taught me so much about cooking. It's actually changed the way that I cook. I brought down an example. You might ask, what will you get in your box? Yeah. So what you will get are these handy dandy recipe cards that'll tell you your ingredients, your step-by-step instructions, whether it's hard, intermediate. This one's intermediate. I'll have to be careful with that one. This one says expert, my Lord.
Okay.
Anyway, you can know all this prior to ordering. So you might ask, what does your box look like? Well, the meats come separately, but in a separate bag, and you can change up what meats you want to get, or you can even do vegan options. But your bag look like this. They have all your ingredients right here. Your spices. I always hate when I buy cilantro at the store because I buy too much and the rest of it goes bad. So you don't get any waste. You get your little packets of cheese. Again, no waste. Your fresh produce. We got an onion here. We got a pepper, although I usually throw in some jalapenos from the garden. But it is actually fresh, real food. They give you everything you're going to need. Here's your tortillas. There's no going to the store and spending $5 on a thing of spice that you're going to use once. They give everything to you, as well as little packets of sour cream. That's our other trick. I go to the store and buy sour cream, and the next time I go to use it, it's green.
Yeah.
We just don't use it that much. So think about how much waste that you're saving getting things pre-portioned this way. Everything is shipped to your door. You can pick as many meals as you like. You can do add-ons like
So what did we get
desserts.
this week? What are the cards saying?
We actually ate this morning the mushroom gravy pork chops
Sounds great.
with veggetti
And bacon.
and bacon.
Because it was bacon on top of pork chops. Makes you travel through time. Anyway.
We have a shrimp fajita quesadilla,
Nice.
which is what I just showed you the ingredients for.
Yay, shrimp.
Sans the meat. And we have roasted red pepper salmon cakes with green onion crema and roasted potatoes.
Nice.
So like I said, you can get these meals, which I enjoy cooking. They're never hard. Even the expert level, I never think are hard. But you also can get meals that are express, where some of the chopping and things are done for you. Like you wouldn't get a whole onion, you would get a bag of chopped onion. Or you can even get oven-ready meals. Or you can mix it up, do some of everything. So try our link. It will save you off your first order.
Very good. This week, Collectorbation. We are going to talk about Verbal Abuse's album Rocks Your Liver from 1986.
Proof positive that a band can disintegrate and reintegrate despite zero success whatsoever. Verbal Abuse is one of hardcore punk's most curious studies. The first album, 1984's Just an American Band, was one of the most underrated crossover records of the 80s. Their rock and rollish hardcore style, wacky sense of humor, and a knack for odd cover tunes made them all but irresistible. The debut album, while impossible to find back in the day, at least in the record stores that I frequented, stands as a great example of tight, slightly dopey San Francisco punk rock. Their alcohol-obsessed 1986's follow-up, sported a vastly different lineup from the first record, save for drummer Greg James and guitarist Eric Joey Mastrakalos. But this Polaroid of the bands turns out splendidly. One of the crown jewels of the Boner Records discography, along with choice Fang, Melvin's, and Boneless One's releases. Raw production, drums like a battering ram, ratty guitar tones, and vocals that practically spit in your face. This is truly a lost gem of the crossover punk era.
Okay, this song is called VA Rocks Your Liver. The band's overall sound is much more chainsaw thrash adjacent than the first record. Guitarist Joey Mastrakalos shines on every cut of the record, successfully fueling this near-perfect specimen of music to skate to, with contributions from seemingly everyone at Boner Records, from guitarist Bill Collins to label head Tom Flynn. Perhaps created by committee, but you'd never know it, from the speeding head charge of Nothing Seems to Change to the stuttering riffage of Rat Pack. No surprise that the band relocated from Houston to the Bay Area, as this material is the perfect fold for the burgeoning thrash scene so fresh and vibrant at the time of this release. Every band comprised of Matter has covered Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, but somehow verbal abuse eclipses all of them with this version. Absolutely mandatory and blows away the debut in every possible way. Often forgotten, but it shouldn't be. File it next to Fear, The Accused, and Circle Jerks in terms of quality crossover records. This song is called Rat Pack.
Now strikes again. Counts again. Now strikes again. Counts again.
This is our interview with Legions of Doom. We had a great chat with Karl and Ron, and we were very excited to pick their brains about the Doom scene and where this band has come from and where it's going. And I love this tribute to Eric, and I'm glad that they're going to continue. So check it out.
We had 19 questions about lead foot. Why don't we start off with, I guess, the discovery of Eric's files, like who discovered them and when did it happen? Like, I guess that's a good place to start.
Basically, I thought he had a file book with him when we were on tour, and when he passed away, I went to go get his stuff from the crematorium. I had to get it was a really tripped out situation. The family had to pay it because they wanted just the family to come in, but they wanted me to get his personal stuff from the crematorium, which was really messed up. His backpack and that book and his crosses and his cell phone. But that book just had lyrics for the tour, so it didn't have anything for the records. I was like, damn, so it was like I didn't think we were gonna have these lyrics. So I almost gave up on the whole thing. Then when we were going to do the memorial show, the first person I called was Karl to see if he was interested in jamming with us, right? So it was after that, we were already going to do the memorial show, but really weren't thinking about the record. But then Eric's son got hold of me because he had the phone and the computer without passwords, and they found a password and got onto the computer. And Eric set up a folder for New Skull Records. So it was already all the lyrics all the songs we worked on, and his son's like, hey, I got it for you, and sent me all the lyrics. So I'm like going, wow, we could actually work on this and do this. It was like, okay, it was like meant to happen. We got to finish this record,
Yeah. Sometimes you got to grab a young person for that kind of shit,
Absolutely. Yeah. I wouldn't be able to do it. I'm sure Eric wouldn't be able to do it.
So I like the concept of how you kind of went with a rebirth. It wasn't just, Skull 3, it's now Legions of Doom.
Right. Well, it's because it is actually the Skull's third record. We're going to call it Skull 3, and but it's not the Skull anymore. So it's like, I'm like, okay, I decided we'll just call the record Skull 3 because that's what it was going to be anyway. But it's being performed by Legions of Doom. That's the new band, all the new, Karl and Scott and Scott and Henry, all of us, we're Legions of Doom now. We're not the Skull. So it's like, that's why I said, okay, this is Legion of Doom performing the Skull 3. And the record company was totally confused, but most people were. So was I, but I just wanted to call the record the Skull, which would have confused people more, but they're like, no.
Yeah.
I do love on the cover art, you kind of have that little Red Riding Hood figure at the grave of the skull. So if you were confused at all, that kind of clears it up.
Yeah.
That was the single. So we got that artwork from this guy online, which I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is perfect. So yeah, that set the ball in motion for the single. Then with the record, it's the cover for the record is kind of self-explanatory as well.
Yeah, that's next level, DeAndre, man. It tells the story that what's inside the record is described, visually, the image. And Ron can speak more to that, how he came across that if you're interested. It's a pretty cool story.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we got David DeAndrea, world famous artist who did like Sleep, Om, and all them, does like posters, and I mean people line up and buy his stuff when to do concerts, like Fly on Fire, they'll have like a DeAndrea poster and it's gone, and he met him at an art show and he's like, I'd love to work with you guys one day. And I saw a piece that he did and I'm like, God, this would be a great album cover. And I talked to him, he's like, it's already taken. Like, all right, can you do something like the same but different,
Yeah, exactly.
Like do something like this, and I explain them what's going on with the Skull. We're becoming Legions of Doom. Just do your thing and make something similar to the one that you had, but do it with what we have going on right now. And the first thing he sent me, I was like, it was perfect. It's done. I was like, he's amazing. So yeah, he actually did our logo as well. I don't know if Karl, you did that. He did our logo.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. He's incredible. You'll see.
Hey, you look good tonight, Karl. What'd you do, man?
I washed my hair. I took a bath.
There you
shower. I mean, a shower.
No, we just jammed all weekend. It was like we were all grubby and nasty. And
oh man.
Yeah.
You looking good. I'd go out with you.
Yeah, Karl, when I first listened to the album, it always seemed like with Leadfoot and even on Blind, you got a little bit of honk in your vocals usually, and a little bit of that Southern style. This is more straight up Doom. I was like, wow, was that unusual for you to sing that way, or?
No, I mean, no, I just kind of went for it. I think if you've heard the track Between Darkness and the Dawn, I think I kind of open actually with a pretty Southern Ronnie Van Zant kind of.
I'm gonna have to go back and re-listen to that because I was looking for that.
And that's on there, but I don't think it was intentional. Just kind of where I was just doing whatever I thought fit in the moment, and would first and foremost do justice to Eric's really meaningful, prescient words that seem to speak beyond the grave. And that's the really eerie thing, is that he seemed to kind of. And maybe this is just an interpretation, but I feel like there's this, he's speaking to the future and almost from beyond the grave with the words. And I know it sounds hokey, but if you actually, when you get a chance to really listen and read the words, there's some amazing stuff going on there. And I'm just blown away that I even get to do this. And I was just trying my best from a vocal melodic perspective, delivery perspective, like you're saying, just to kind of, take each set of lyrics and then apply it the best I could in the moment to some killer songs that the guys had written. And that's just kind of what happened, I'm just, belting it out for better for worse.
No, it sounds great. It sounds great.
Yeah, we had no melodies. Like Eric, we had one song with melody that he had on tape, and it ended up he changed the words, so the new words that he left didn't fit that melody. So we just had the words. So with Scotty and Karl, it's like you guys come up with your own melodies to to these songs. So it's all these guys. They interpret Eric's lyrics wonderfully. I mean, the melodies and delivery and everything. That's all Scotty and Karl. Man, these guys. I'm happy and lucky these guys were.
How'd you guys decide like who would sing what song? Like,
Oh, that was me.
All Ron's fault.
What was it? Hope and Despair.
Yeah, that's what yeah.
Like Karl's Hope and Scotty's Despair. I mean,
okay, I like
it
it.
don't fit all of them because like one of the songs that Scotty does is if there's hope in every song. That's just how Eric is, how he wrote. He wrote about the despair in the world, but he always made sure that there was hope. So I don't know, it seemed, knowing these two guys for so long, it just seemed natural. I'm like, okay, this is a Karl song and this is a Scott song. And it just I only had one song I wasn't sure of, but I was on a fence with, but it was pretty easy picking for me. I knew exactly that these guys, which ones would do the right for the one songs,
Yeah,
as I was listening to it the first time, I was thinking, are we going to get to a Coverdale Hughes kind of duking it out situation here with these two, but it didn't happen,
Thankfully, I wasn't Coverdale to his Hughes, because that's always like watching that live stuff, like what is California Jam or what is it, where Hughes is like 2 octaves higher than Coverdale.
Yeah, I know.
And Coverdale just looks so forlorn,
I mean, can you imagine those sessions where it's like, no, I'm the singer. No, I'm the singer. No, I'm the singer. I mean, yeah.
You're the bass player, but the bass player is a better singer than you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a
And
better.
he had
bass
better
player.
pants. So,
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
He's still a better singer.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. Glenn Hughes. I don't know what his.
And you know what? He did the most drugs. And he's the one that lived. That's the part I don't get over. He did truckloads of cocaine,
Drugs are good, kids. Drugs are good.
This has been a public service announcement from Legions of Doom.
More drugs.
And Richard Simmons dead. There you go.
All right, see, there's your evidence. Yep.
Yeah.
Case in point.
So I was kind of interested how you went about choosing the side B for the single, the Deep Purple cover, Into the Fire. Did you throw a lot of things around, or did you just know that's what you wanted to do?
That was easy. Here, Karl, I'll give you the history on that one.
Well, a while back, was it 2009 or something like that? You came out to North Carolina we had this loose intention, I guess, of jamming with Reed Mullen, who
nice.
Corrosion of Conformity Reed Mullen. That I've done a couple things with him, doing like the COC blind stuff on and off. But Ron came out, and we were just going to see if we could start something with him, and create something with him. And in that process, we grabbed a couple of the guys from Leadfoot. We grabbed Scott Little, who happens to be also now in Legions of Doom,
right?
And T.R. Gwynn, and they joined on guitar while Ron played bass, and then Reed on drums. And we're just, hey man, let's just do Into the Fire, because it's one of the songs I'd always wanted to do. Going way back. I love Deep Purple, and that just incredibly kind of stripped down, mean kind of song, badass song. If you know it, you know it. It makes sense. I always loved it, and we did it. I think we did a really cool version of it that actually there's a recording of somewhere. I'll have to dig that up. And then years later, when we were jamming, doing the Skull and the Legions thing, it's just like, hey, how about we throw this in there? We just, for old time's sake. And it came back, and it was just a natural choice. It didn't take much to get there, and we just said, "Hey, why not? Let's do it again."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really.
I originally
can't go wrong with that
just
in rock record. Yeah.
Oh my
single.
God.
I wanted to do Karl on one side and Scott on the other. I wanted to do each song. We weren't going to do 2 singles. Just going to do one single, and the label's like, no, we want you to put something on the 7-inch that isn't on the record. And then the only thing recorded extra was the Purple song. So I'm like, well, okay, that's a perfect B-side. It's not on the record. So All Good Things was the first choice of of the single, you know, so it just came out that way. Then the song "A Voice of Reason" just became a digital release, which we just released that last week. So that was pretty much the label saying, nope, this is what we're gonna do. So
Got
we
it.
kind of got outvoted on that one. I'm glad we recorded Into the Fire. It came out great.
Yeah, man.
Sort of in the band, you know, a lot of times, like Mark was saying, like egos or stuff would get in the way, but that doesn't seem like it happens with you guys. Like you could tell on the video that, you know, you really do get along well together. Who kind of brings what personality to the band? Is there like a leader, or is it just kind of together? Is there like a mom or dad
A
figure?
goofball,
A
you know.
goofball.
All
Well,
the above.
there's Uncle Ron, obviously. Fearless leader, Uncle Ron.
Captain Ron.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Not Uncle. Captain Ron. I'm the sleazy uncle now, Karl. But no, I think Ron is obviously the center of the core of this whole thing, and I've known him for decades, going back to the COC and Trouble days and hanging out, and we've always been brothers from another mother, man. We hit it off right away, and I know Ron's, you know, been jamming with Lothar doing the skull thing forever, so they obviously have a chemistry there that's undeniable in their songwriting and friendship. And they've been, you know, stayed the course in spite of incredibly difficult odds. And, you know, here we are.
Henry's the goofball. He's the one who tries to keep things light by he imitates everybody he ever met. You know, the voices. I mean, he'll do Eric, and also next thing you know, he's doing Kirk from Crowbar or Bobby Lee Lang, and it just he just does
Nice.
He's
emulate
fucking
all
good
these
at it.
voices, and it just, you know, he especially on the long rides and stuff, he really is entertaining, and the jokes, and it's, yeah, we all got our own little personalities, and we've all known each other for a long time and all worked together, so
Ron has known Scott Little for years, going way back to you know, from Leadfoot and me jamming with Scott Little since 1999, so on and off. So he's known him for years too, and he was a natural choice when the slot came open, you know, for another guitar player. And in fact, Ron was like, "Hey, what's Scott doing?" I'm like, "Man, I think he's into this, man. Let's do it." So we're just all family. We were all old friends and get together, and it's pretty damn easy, man. There's no serious personality conflicts. Just like
That's great.
we have a mission. We love this music, and you know, beyond even this album, we're super excited to write the next one. You know.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, I mean, you guys have been doing this for a long time. What are some of the things about making an album now that are good, bad, and different compared to back in the day? You know.
Are there processes that you still have to do a certain way? Like even, you know, like some people want to handwrite stuff.
The process is a lot easier. There's not as much pressure because, like, the labels were always holding the money in front of you, and you had to then hire a producer, and you had to do everything like according to their schedule. Now, where people can record in their houses, and you can do it on your own time, where not everybody has to be there, where you can get like the rhythms done. Like we're at Steve Albini's Electric Audio. We recorded the rhythms. It was just the three of us, just me, Henry, and Lothar. And then the rest of the guys came in one at a time. And Lothar did a bunch of his stuff at his home studio. And it's a lot less pressure. You can get things done for a reasonable price now. It's not way expensive. And one cool thing is about the LPs coming back. To get a good sounding LP, it's about 20 minutes a side. Yeah, so you notice all old records, it's like they don't get that much more than 20, maybe 24 minutes at the most on a side. Otherwise, it starts getting funky sounding.
Right.
But then when CDs came into the picture, that's when things started getting longer, and you had to have more songs. You had to like have an hour worth of material. So now it's back to the CDs are dying out, and it's LPs again. So you're actually doing records again. So you can do 20 minutes a side, and it's less songs. So you can do 8 songs, 9 songs, and have your record. You can even do like 7, you know, or 3 if you're a doom band.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
Yeah. So you take that C90 cassette, 45 minutes aside, and put that album on one side and the album on the other, man.
Those were the days. Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite cassette was the Slayer Rain and Blood. We just boom boom kept playing this album over and over. It's like this is
Yeah.
amazing. It was so
Yeah.
cool.
Zero fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, like, so the early 80s, mid 80s, it was Trouble and Vitus for me. And was there any competition between those two bands back then? Because you guys were like the alpha and the omega of American Doom,
Would fight us in trouble?
between Vitus and Trouble. Yeah.
No, we all were friends. We did a couple shows together. I was really close with Chandler for years.
Okay.
You know, and it's funny because when he retired, you know, he's like, I'm not going to play anymore. He just gave up because Vitus never really got to where it should have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then and he's like, dude, we're sitting together one time. I was visiting him drinking. He's like, man, I all I want to do is play like some festivals like you guys did, like Trouble did, you know. So I'm like, I'm gonna get this guy out of retirement. So that's when we put together the Reincorporated band we did. So I get him out of retirement where he wasn't gonna play guitar. So I just want to sing punk rock. I'm like, ugh. So
Oh, geez.
I tricked him in and says, well, I need help writing these songs. So I'm not that familiar with punk rock. Can you send me some riffs on guitar and I'll make them into songs? And then he started playing guitar again. And so I got him. So after we did Debris, pretty much Henry ended up being in Debris at the end. So then all of a sudden Dave's playing and doing shows again. And all of a sudden this resurgence of Vitus came about. And I talked him into doing a reunion. You know, actually I helped put it together. And then they just took off. It was amazing. So he got to play all the festivals and do everything he always wanted to do, you know. But no,
That's
it was
great.
never a competition because they were more like they were slow punk, and we were just kind of just doomy metal. You know, none of us used the word doom because we didn't know what it was. We just played rock and roll, heavy
Yeah.
rock. But yeah, that was always we're always good. We're always good with each other. It's never an issue.
Yeah.
No
No,
competition.
that's cool. Yeah. Yeah.
But we knew
Interesting.
we were better. So
See, I was waiting for that. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I tell
just
you
for the
what,
rec-
like, honestly, the first time I heard Ride the Lightning and I heard For Whom the Bell Tolls, I was like, they're ripping off Trouble right there.
yeah,
Fuck these guys.
They listened.
You know, I
They
swear
did
I
listen
thought
to
that
it.
when I heard it.
Cliff
And then I
loved.
saw Hetfield in a Trouble shirt and I'm like, there it is. There it is.
Cliff loved us, and they liked us, and yeah, they were fans, and they were heavily influenced by us. Put it that
Hey,
way.
they were heavily influenced by
Hetfield
Trouble.
still wears.
Absolutely.
Hetfield still has a Trouble patch on his one of his
Mhm.
watches that he wears, which is really cool.
Yeah.
It's nice. I haven't talked to them guys in years, but it's still cool that they remember.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I know I had a couple of track questions about this album, Between Darkness and Dawn. I love the bluesy bass line that you put down in that. Really, really wild. And I love how it fades in because it's almost reminiscent of a sunset. And then I got to thinking, do you still have that BC Rich Mockingbird bass for that?
Yeah, that's my baby. I've had that thing since
Yeah.
Halloween 1980s when I got that.
Nice.
But I couldn't play it on that first half because of we're tuned really low in the E string. So I used Lothar had a ukulele bass. You know, and I actually wrote that whole first half on acoustic. I used to I had a cat tree in my dining room where every morning I'd come down and you know and write on guitar. You know, I'd wake up and the first day I play guitar, and he'd jump up on the tower and kind of look at me, and I could tell if it was something he liked or something he didn't like. And he would let me know. He's a good judge of rock riffs. He was like different riffs and songs that oh, you got a critter right there. Oh, that's a dog, right?
Yeah, this is our dog.
Yeah, he's usually
three of the riffs I did writing for my cat end up on our last Skull record, and I wrote that whole first half. I'd play that to him every morning, and he loved it. And I played on acoustic, just and I'm like going, how am I gonna recreate that because it never sounded good on bass. And then when Lothar got this ukulele bass, I played it on that. I'm like, that's it. Oh my God.
That's cool.
So that's why it just kind of, it's one of the things I just played for a while. And Lothar, it was supposed to be on the last Skull record, but we never finished it. Then Lothar came up with this crazy second half which was a different song. I'm like, this would be the good second half. He's like, that don't fit. I'm like, yeah, it'll work. We can do it. We got together at my kitchen table here and put it together, and it worked out, man. That song is awesome. It really is a cool tune the way it came out. And
Yeah.
Karl knocked it out of the park. My goodness.
Big time.
The kid's
What
pretty
kind of
good.
cats do you have that likes riffs? We have 3 and they don't really seem.
Certain cats, they like every other cat I had would run away whenever they heard acoustic guitar, but this one
Yeah.
just he dug it. He's like, what do you got? What do you got for me
He's
today?
got good taste. Yeah.
He let me know when he didn't like it. That's for sure.
So was it an eerie feeling hearing Eric's vocals when you were doing the song Heaven? Did it like feel like he was there? Like that had to be kind of creepy.
Dude, I get goosebumps right now thinking about it. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
pretty creepy. We did kind of like what the Beatles did, where they had that John Lennon song where he played piano, and they
Mhm.
separated the vocals from the piano. So we had to do that because Eric he recorded with one mic, singing and playing an acoustic guitar, and the guitar was kind of funky. So we're able to separate it and just and kind of fix his vocals and actually put it to a click track. So Lothar rewrote the music to fit the vocals and come up with the middle section. And yeah, when we had to record it, we had to hear because Eric's voice was on there. So
Yeah.
singing while we're playing, and oh man, it really was trippy and hard. And
Yeah, I'll bet.
I couldn't do it. It took me a while. Everybody else did their parts. I did mine last. And you could tell the emotions came out because I overplayed on that. I played a lot of afterwards. I'm like going like Sanford, the engineer, is just looking at me. I'm like, is that okay? And I play too much? He's like, dude, it sounds killer. I'm like, I kind of overplayed it. Just kind of came out.
Oh, that's
You
funny.
know, so it's the emotion carried me, and I'm like, that's what you hear. That's raw emotion right there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hang on, Mike. Here's the other one. Come here, girl. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, it's a ginger.
That's
Oh my-
Stinkerbell right there,
There's a Tinkerbell, yeah.
Wow.
or
She's
Stinky Bee.
huge.
She's a big
It's actually a
chunk.
girl. It's like an orange. Most orange ones are not female,
Hey, Stinky
Yeah.
Bee.
and plus she has no tail, so it's But she hates my guitar playing. Right. Did you see Karl? Did you see Karl? We'll wave to Karl. It's your boyfriend.
Yeah. We're like this, man. He's awesome.
Oh,
We have an orange one who's really, really bad. He thinks he rules the house and all the other cats and the dog, and
Yeah,
he
he's
just walks around like a bruiser.
yeah.
they do that. They
Yeah. We were just last night, we were watching the video for All Good Things. It turned out great.
Yeah.
How was filming of the video? Was it did you guys have as much fun as it seemed like you had? I mean,
absolutely, because the bass player from November's Doom, he was actually the one who filmed it, and then we filmed at the engineer who mixed our records. We at his place, his studio, and I decided to have a party. It was St. Patty's Day, so we invited a bunch of people, corned beef, beer, and just had a blast and had a party where
That's
it wasn't we'd film first, but then we kind of just brought the people in, just had a good time. That's why it's you can see we're having a blast. It was a really
yeah.
good day. And then a couple days later, we played with Candlemass in Chicago.
No.
We filmed the live stuff at that show.
I've gotten over my
Friends are
dislike
like-
for them, by the way. You know, I've
Right.
gotten over it. Just like I was all Pentagram, and then it was you guys, and it was Vitus. So then when I heard Candlemass, I just didn't know what slot to put him in because I had already heard the
I don't
best of the
care.
best
I
of the
don't care
best. You know?
from God's honest truth. I don't.
Well, I
don't-
mean, like that.
I'm
it was
friends with. I'm
too-
good friends with them. I'm good
Yeah,
friends with a lot of bands I don't like, but it's
Yeah. It was
I-
Pentagram was great because Pentagram, there was always that danger. Is Bobby going to show up or not? You know, like
Right.
we're all here. Is he going to come or not? You know, that was the thing.
I loved
Yeah.
early Pentagram. There's some good stuff.
So
And,
great. Yeah.
I heard a lot of the new record right now because Henry, our drummer, put together a new version of Pentagram with Bobby, and he got the two guys from Moss Generator, and we heard like at least 3/4 of the record already. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, he's still got the voice, you know. It's
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The personality, man. That dude's a
Oh,
rock
yeah.
and roller.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
I really like that epic hallow by all means. You really bring it at the end with that huge instrumental feel. Now, did that happen kind of organically, or did you plan it to be that big?
We didn't have an ending. That was the last song that we actually wrote. Lothar and I wrote and presented it to Eric, and he's like, "Yeah, I got to finish my solo record. I'll work on that when we get back," which he never did. But that one, because we're placing the songs on the record in order, and we knew that one was going to come after Heaven. So I'm like, kind of go to Lothar. I says, I'd really like to have like a Funeral Doom ending. Because he had in his mind, he's a virtuoso. He had like, all these different part harmonies and stuff like that. And so that was his baby. I said, I just make it into like a funeral dirge, a Funeral Doom song, because it's a send off to Eric. It's like Heaven was like the wake, and the next song is like the funeral. Like that's why it starts off like a funeral procession. You got the church bells, and
Yeah.
as we're going, it just popped in my head like, I gotta get an organ here. It's like when I'm mixing it. So I got
That's great.
Lotar's friend to play the organ. Then it's like the bells came, and it's most of the stuff was layered by Lothar, where I had no idea what I was gonna play. So I had to figure that out. And the same thing with Henry's like, what do I do on drums? And so we just start off slow and just go nuts. And so yeah, that came about in the studio mainly. But yeah, it's pretty organic how it went.
Yeah, I thought it was a perfect end to the album. It just
Thank you.
builds and builds and swells, and wow.
It's our send
saw
off, brother.
I looked over. You got. It looks like you guys got a handful of dates for end of September. Is it kind of a wait and see how it goes, and then you're going to do more, or is it like how much touring are you guys planning on doing?
It was hard, like because booking shows, promoters ever since the pandemic, they're like really tight with guarantees with money, and they're going, well, you guys don't have a record. I'm like, we got like 20 records between all of us, like you don't have a new record, so they're lowballs. I'm like,
okay.
it's like a double-edged sword. It's like our record's coming out that week, we need shows, but you don't have a record. So it's like we decided just to do a couple shows, and Desert Fest was the day our record's coming out, so it worked out perfect with that. And our booking agent actually was booking 2 of the tours, like Dozier, he booked that tour, and Bieselbong, I think, and we needed to play in certain cities, so we just joined with them. So we're playing with Dozier in Boston, and playing with Bieselbong in Raleigh. And then when we get to Austin the following week, it's with Bieselbong and that tour and package again, and Bongzilla. So it worked out good. So we're playing, it's all like festival shows that we're playing in Chicago in November. But yeah, it's I needed to talk with my booking agent this week and just see what kind of ideas they have, actually European and here. But yeah, we're kind of wait and see. We wanted to get
Wait and see, yeah.
record out, just get the boom and the word out there, and then it should come. They should start coming to us.
Yeah.
We want to play. We want to get this out there. We want to play to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, set list wise, I'm sure you're playing a lot of the new album, but I would like to hear Buried at Sea and The Tempter in the same show, if possible.
We've actually done The Tempter with me doing the straight skull set.
Yeah,
That's
we
great.
the Tempter.
Yeah, actually at the what was it, Hand of Doom festival in Europe that time, I sang The Tempter along with your favorite guy from Candlemass.
Yeah.
Joe, and then also Scott Riegers came out, so, and it was pretty damn cool. But
Oh, that does sound cool. Yeah, absolutely.
But that was the last time unfortunately we're going to do Tempter, because that era went out with Eric. So I'm just, the only Trouble stuff I'm going to play is stuff that I played on, because there's Trouble still exists, and it's like me playing Trouble songs that wasn't on is kind of weird.
Yeah, no, understood.
We got rid of the old Skull logo and kept the new one. We're still going to play a Skull show here once in a while, but yeah, Tempter is out. But I've talked with Riegers about Burial at Sea.
Yeah.
I want to play it, and so does he. So that I think is going to be one of the ones we add probably
That's awesome.
next year. But so
There are a couple other ones by Vitus as well, but that's at Ron's discretion to mention. But and
Ron, tell
obviously,
me about this is the questions I wanted to get to. So tell me about you were there for the Rick Rubin sessions on that self-titled.
Oh
Like
yeah.
what was that? What was that like? I mean, what the
Well, I
making of
mean,
that record? I mean, it was
especially
different than anything you had done,
I mean, we record that in Sound City for one thing, walking in there and it's like, whoa, And then with Rick Rubin, the whole thing was just like, this is insane. This is, we finally made it, and
Yeah.
well, things we had the record how we thought it was supposed to be, the first Trouble record. And we at rehearsals, pre-production, we played the whole thing for him, and Rubin was like, no, I need you to change and just ripped apart every song.
Wow.
And he changed all of this. We're like, ugh. So over the course of the weekend, we were set to go in the studio, I think on Monday. So he said, you guys are going to fix this record over the weekend. So what happened was me, Eric, and Rick, we went to San Francisco to go get drunk with Metallica and let Bruce Franklin fix the record.
Oh, nice.
So that's seriously what happened. He's the one who made it happen. And we came back, we're like, whoa, this is cool. Went over everything, and that's pretty much how that came about. That's why it's so organic, because it kind of, we created something different than what we had. He made us write better and made us make like shorter songs and better songs, and learned a lot about producing from him.
Yeah.
It was just
I went back this week because I knew I was going to be talking to you. I listened to Run to the Light, and then I listened to that, and there's a lot of cowbell on that fucking record. A lot.
Yeah,
was he going? I want more cowbell, because it sounds like it. I mean,
That's funny because we're playing the two songs with cowbell in Legions of Doom. Pretty funny. So Henry's got the big cowbell in the front, but no, Barry, it just happened, them songs just needed cowbell, them parts.
Yeah, like Psychotic Reaction. Yeah, it's great.
Every fucking song needs cowbell, man.
Every song needs cowbell.
Absolutely.
And another thing that I guess from this Rubin sessions that must have happened, the Misery Shows Part 2, I've never heard a song that goes Floyd, total Floyd, and then total Sabbath back and forth like that. Like, how in the hell was that Rubin pushing you, or like how did you guys pull that off? I mean,
that one was just mainly Bruce Franklin.
Okay.
And we extended the middle to make it more Floydy and weirder.
Yeah.
It was he wanted that one very atmospheric, and we did it. We followed directions, and he's a pretty good producer. He's done pretty
I've heard. Yeah, he's okay. Right. He's all right. Right.
So he taught us a lot, about writing and stuff. But like I said, Bruce Franklin was a catalyst on that whole record.
And then Memory's Garden is another great one. That one's swings back and forth between like Revolver, Beatles, and fucking Sabbath. It's just, I mean, you guys were so in the zone at that period. It was amazing. Yeah.
We're trying to write a little more rock and roll. It's like they're pushing us to be more like the Cult or Bad Company, a little more rock and roll than Doom.
Yeah.
And that was the influence. That's what the writing changed for that. I forgot about Memory's Garden, man. I like to
what a great song.
I could hear Karl sing that, man. That would be great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, that would be great. You got to, get some substances going and get the sitar out, all that stuff. Yeah. So
no problem getting substances going.
Well, Karl, for you, Karl. All right. So all right. So the what led up to Blind? So you got basically these hardcore records that they did ahead of time, and then Blind comes out, and I remember I was like, this is not the same band. What the hell is this? I mean, I loved it. Were you playing stuff from the early records on the Blind tour? Like, how did it? Like,
yes.
What happened there?
So
you were playing like Animosity stuff and the Blind stuff together?
Wow.
Well, kind of, sort of, yeah. So I saw them in 1984 when I was up in Connecticut. My band Seizure back in the day in the hardcore scene up there, and also hanging out in New York City and Jersey and stuff. I went to see them again over and over whenever they came in the kind of tri-state area up there. And including in 1985, my band opened up for them on the Animosity tour one time. And Reed especially, but the guys were really accessible and cool guys. And Reed was one of those guys he'd trade addresses and do the pen pal thing back in the olden days,
Right,
in the before times.
Yeah,
And
in the before.
so we were just like all really friendly and kept contact. And then I heard through the grapevine, I'd been in a couple bands. I was in School of Violence on Death Metal Blade, just like they were on Death Metal Blade. 88, 87, 88, and then saw an ad in the Village Voice back when they used to have newspapers in the classified section saying they were looking for a cross between HR, Ian Gillan, and James Hetfield. And I was like,
Wow.
singer wanted. I was like, well, I fucking love all of those guys. And I don't know if I'm worthy, but I really like those. So we had mutual friends. I checked in with them and they said, yeah, this is legit. It's not bullshit. And, they reached out and we were all on the same wavelength. I was at that time, before even joining them, I was coming out of my hardcore band. I obviously jumped into a band that sounded more like Motorhead. And then I was all into, I came out of the Discharge and the Crucifix camp and
Right.
was obviously embracing Motorhead and early Metallica and Slayer and Venom. And so there was this whole swirl of wanting the raw energy of the punk rock hardcore thing, but the insane power, of the hard rock metal thing. And we were trying to find a combination of that. And we were a little bit all over the place. And you can hear that on Blind. It's an experiment. It's a fusion record where they were on the same wavelength. That's why I got the gig. We spoke the same language, and the way I got the gig was they had sent me a demo version of Buried, and
Okay.
I listened to that over and over again, and actually dreamt the lyrics and woke up and wrote it about some bad shit I was going through, had it written, showed up the audition, and pulled that out of my back pocket, and they're like, well, fucking goddamn, so, not to toot my horn, but I'm tooting my horn. So it worked out. And so that was one that we did from the onset. But at the same time, I was singing Technocracy songs, Animosity songs, and even some Eye for an Eye songs.
That's so cool. God, I wish I'd been around for those shows.
Well, case in point, we did my second, third, fourth, and fifth shows were opening up the original lineup of Bad Brains. And then we did a bunch of gigs, but the one that came around in summer of 90 was us going out with Danzig and Soundgarden for 6 weeks from LA to Boston. And Danzig was doing Lucifuge 2. Soundgarden was doing Louder Than Love. And we didn't have a record out. We were just doing a couple of the precursors to the Blind album and a bunch of the old shit. But, we were just figuring it out and field testing stuff. And then, there was stuff in the works and we, as we went, it came to pass that we had all these songs. And it was a mixture of Phil Swisher's nod. Phil Swisher was the real rock and roll guy, actually. And Mike wasn't pushed out of the band. He had left like over a year and a half earlier, before I joined. And so Phil was there. He had jumped on bass, and he was the guy who showed up being a Deep Purple, Sabbath, rock and roll guy, even though he came out of the hardcore scene. And then Reed was this insane technician on drums.
I saw him on that tour where they had some creepy, weird singer, but Phil was on bass. It's some singer with glasses. I remember it was like, who's
Simon
this?
Bob?
Was that
Simon Bob Sinister? Yeah. Simon Bob. Yeah.
That's where I actually met COC, and they were parked out front, and I ended up drinking a case of beer with Woody. So we got off drinking together right away. But
that's awesome.
They played right down the street from the house, probably 4 blocks from here. It was bizarre.
I got Deliverance the day it came out, and I called my buddy that I went to shows with, and I go, Karl's not on this fucking record. And he goes, dude, I'm at work.
Okay, so
I'm like, all right, priorities. Okay, priorities.
I got so a story that not everybody knows, some people know, is Karl was on that record. I recorded. So when we were looking for a new studio and we were ready to do the album, and did the next album. And our buddy Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins, who was the biggest Blind fan on the planet, back then said, "Hey, I'm recording this album down in Vinings, Georgia, Triclops. It's an incredible studio with Butch Vig, the Siamese Dream album. That's wasn't out yet. He was recording it. Said, you should be recording here. I love Blind. I think you should do it here." So we went down there to check out the studio, and we're like, okay, let's do it there. Cool, great. So we got the funds and went down there, and I was there for 5 weeks recording that album, and got fired by the producer of the studio.
Oh my God.
So there's a version. I mean, whatever. That was a long time ago, but shit happens. There was other forces at work. It is what it is. But there's a version of me that of singing that album, a very different version. But that basically left the planet with Reed Mullen. I think Reed had the cassette, and no one knows where it is.
Really?
So, yeah,
I was incensed. So, you know.
Well, thank you for.
Well, but then you had Leadfoot, and that first Leadfoot album is one of my favorites.
But I'm gonna say this. I it is what it is. I'm not walking around with a. It was shitty at the time. It was a bad divorce, but how many bands have fucking been there? I'm not the only one. It is what it is. I'm friends with those guys. I mean, Reed's no longer here, and he came back, and we made up 8 years later, basically. And he said, "Hey, let's do some COC Blind stuff once in a while," and we did, and that was really awesome. And we got to do that before he passed.
That's great.
Fuck it. But I had Leadfoot. Well, Phil said, "You know what? I don't want to be in this band without you." He quit. He walked away from COC, and then we signed a Roadrunner, and there was 3 Leadfoot albums, and everyone was based on a greater, more difficult hurdle that we would face. We were kind of cursed, like every time we went to do a record, there would be some fucking weird problem that would come out of fucking nowhere.
Oh my God.
And fuck it up. The first album actually came out in Europe, was released by Roadrunner in Europe. And it was received like 5 stars, 4.5 stars. The worst.
It is 5 stars. Yes. It is.
Well, thank you. And then at 4 stars, and we had this like big budget. Went out to Grandmaster in Hollywood, recorded where Foo Fighters had Color in the Shape, and Tool did Undertow, and like No Doubt recorded there. It was like a famous studio that Stevie Wonder used to record at. So we went. Cranked this thing out we were there for 5 weeks, 6 weeks, did the thing, and we had Motorhead's management. We were going to be on Ozfest. We were like Metallica's booking agent for Europe. It was it was crazy. And then Roadrunner decided they weren't going to we were too rock and roll. They were going to focus on new metal. And they said, "Sorry, guys." And so it never came out in the US. And then the drummer and the rhythm guitarist quit, and then we had to kind of reinvent ourselves. So each next following album is for pennies comparatively, and then we had a couple lineup changes. But we used to blaze through Europe, and we had some great tours over there, 99 and 2000 and all that. So but it just wasn't meant to be. I still reserve the right to do a Leadfoot show every once in a while. I'm still friends with everybody.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And the guitar player Graham Fry, who was my co-writer and everything. We have another band called Lie Heavy that signed to Heavy Psych Sounds, and we still write and jam, and he's awesome. So we're still doing that. So, and then of course Scott Little from Leadfoot is now in Legions of Doom.
Legions of Doom. Yep.
Yeah,
we're probably going to play 1 or 2 Leadfoot's songs eventually.
He promised me.
Talk to your drummer.
Yeah,
he's busy doing other things.
Yeah. That guy. That guy.
I read this. I think in Classic Rock magazine, I read that the whole reason why Ozfest happened was because Ozzy tried to get on Lollapalooza, and they said he was too old. And so Sharon was like, fuck you, we'll do our own thing. So the whole reason why Ozfest even happened was out of revenge,
I think everything
she's very Osborne. That's the way they are. Yeah.
I think the Osbornes, I think at least Sharon's, no offense, Sharon, don't kill me.
No.
Don't have me murdered.
We're all afraid of her.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. Never mind.
That's Hillary, not Ozzy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then
I've-
I read also in classic rock they were talking about when Iommi had, I thought like the Eternal Idol and Tear, I thought they were really good records, right? Every town they went in, Sharon made sure Ozzy was playing the same town the same night so that nobody would go see Sabbath. I mean, still the fires were still burning, you know. It's like what, like 8 years after he got kicked out of Sabbath, and they're still pissed off, you know. It's
Damn.
crazy. I love that rock folklore shit, you know. You don't mess with Sharon.
No.
No.
We're all
I
afraid
worship,
of her.
I worship Sharon. Sharon is the goddess.
Please don't destroy our careers.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
All right, should we do our game?
yeah, let's do our game.
All right. So we have a game on the show. It's called Random Questions with Stace. That's me. So normally, if it's one person, we do 5. But since it's 2-person, we'll have each of you pick 3 numbers somewhere between 1 and 100 to answer 3 random questions.
73.
Okay. 2 more.
Oh,
69.
oh,
Oh.
oh.
That's a popular one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta go for 13 then.
And I'm going
13.
12.
12. Okay. 1 more each.
99.
9.
1.
1.
Okay.
All right. We'll start with Karl. He picked 73. Would you rather vacuum the house or mow the lawn?
I don't have a lawn, so I guess I'm vacuuming the house.
That's the easy one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna
I
kind of take
I kind of do, but you know,
Got a yard. You can mow the weeds.
mow the weeds, smoke the
Mow
weeds.
All right, number 13. What is the oddest gift you have ever received?
Oh God, that I don't know. I screwed myself on this one. A promise that wasn't kept. I don't know.
Oh.
Oh my.
Oh yeah, that's a bad
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, my brother like buys my parent like for Christmas or their birthdays and stuff. My brother like tries to get them nice gifts and he'll like spend a lot of money. And I don't try at all. Like I'll grab something at a gas station on the way there and they always rave about my gifts and it drives them crazy. Like last year, he bought them some Disney tea set that was themed on Beauty and the Beast. It probably was a couple $100, right? I found a Richard Simmons chia pet that grows the hair out.
Awesome.
Dude,
And
awesome.
they raved about it. And he was like, well, he's trying to show them about the tea set. And they're going, well, did you see what Mark got us? Take a look at what I love it. I love it. It's like the greatest.
So
The
awesome.
less effort I spend, the more they rave about it. So
That's
anyway.
awesome.
And Karl, your last one is 99. How would your parents describe your personality?
Oh, bubbly. No, I don't know.
Bubbly.
I'm not
Come
the,
meet
I'm
my
not,
bubbly son.
I wouldn't say I'm the smart one. My sisters are the smart ones. No,
that's funny.
let's go with
I like bubbly.
bubbly.
He's very bubbly. What's this band called? Legions of Doom.
He's bubbly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right, Ron.
I-
Number 69. What are your feelings about taxidermy?
Oh,
well,
look
consider we got,
behind you.
we probably got 150 pieces in our house.
okay. Yeah.
If you want to look at the goat.
All right. I like it.
Do you do them yourself?
No. Okay. Basically, my wife and I, we collect antique taxidermy. I'm not into fresh taxidermy, like killing something to do it. It's like basically we're rescuing something that did get killed and got taxidermied, but is sitting unwanted in the back of a antique place with dust and stuff. So we would collect.
Right.
We found a bunch of them in garbage that people get. So we got I love it. I mean, we got a lion in the front.
That's cool.
A lion. We got a baby zebra. We got a couple monkeys.
2-headed kitten.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a Walter Potter piece. So yeah, you hit the right question on that one.
That's a good one. Yeah.
It's kind of
I think
unbelievable.
I must like taxidermy. I don't like fresh taxidermy. I don't like them killing animals to do it, but I respect and honor the animal by giving them a place to exist with all their other buddies that we, found, and we name them all that are all our children.
That's very
Who's
cool.
throwing out
I'll
a
just
baby
say,
lump?
I'll just say Casa Holzner is the coolest house I've ever been inside of ever. And that's only a fraction of that. It's just rad. It's incredible.
There's this taxidermy shop up the road from us, and one of their crown jewels is a giraffe's neck with the full head.
Well, I've
And I'm
seen
thinking, I don't think our studs could handle this weight. I mean, like
amazing.
how much does that weigh? Like
Alrighty. So we're up to number 12. No.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, 12.
Who would you dress up as at a comic convention?
Oh man, Fat Thor.
Really?
Ever since seeing him in all the superheroes, all in shape and bodies, and you finally get to see a superhero that's fat and out of shape, playing video games and drinking beer. It was really a moment. But,
Fat Thor.
they're calling him what, Big Lebowski or whatever.
yeah, I guess
It's funny.
that was just the first one that came to mind. 'Cause it's easy.
I love Thor.
Absolutely.
All right. And number 1, what is the most vivid dream that you have ever had?
Oof.
Was it about me?
I get some good ones every couple times a week. I get some crazy ones, but man, I think about this be something recent. I can't think of anything anymore right now. Goodness, how many times drinking with buddies and just I can't even think of one right now. I had some good ones this morning and I don't remember. I got a very short-term memory. So
Yeah.
I kind of like to get rid of the nightmares and the weird stuff like that. So I just move on in my day. But I have some good ones. I mean, I used to have the Godzilla ones where he's chasing me.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's cool.
Or tornadoes. Those are another one. That's usually like the traumatic parts of my life, which I read a book about dreams and stuff like that. And the tornado ones is usually you got weird stuff going on, but those are the ones that just wake up like, goodness, man.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, tornadoes and Godzilla, those are the ones that
Yeah.
chase
There's
me.
some crazy ones. I'm always waiting table somewhere with some impossible situation where I have to walk through a waist-dip pool with food on a tray and try to get it to this table, and I can't get there.
Yeah.
Sounds legit to me. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
I like
waiting. We're
Like
waiting.
the Nightmare on Elm Street where he's running up the stairs where it turned into like mush. It was like, oh man, it was such a great movie. That was a great dream movie.
Oh, God.
And then Dokken took over.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It became a real nightmare then.
I saw that Monsters of Rock that year was it like 87?
Oh
And
yeah.
it was like Kingdom Come, nobody paid attention. Metallica came out and like blew everybody away. And then Dokken had to follow that. And they had like the disco outfits and the high tops. And I remember going, let's walk around and try to find some chicks. Like, I'm not watching this shit. And I think everyone else had the same feeling. And that was, I think, the death of Dokken, that they had to follow Metallica in 87.
I went to the beer booth and hung out. And, oh yeah, I went out to about 4 of them shows.
Yeah.
The Scorpions were great.
They were really good. Yeah, they were really good. And then Van Halen, oh my God. So first tour with Sammy Hagar. They're playing just the new stuff. And then they start playing covers. And I'm like, fuck off. You've got like 7 great records. You're not going to play anything. We left. I was like, I'm out of here. Forget it.
The same way. I got pissed at everybody.
I was so pissed.
Yeah. At the end, and they didn't. It was a bummer.
So we're not going to do anything from Roth. That's great.
Right. Yeah, that was uncool.
Oh, it's terrible. Anyway, but
Well, hopefully we guys catch you out here. We have a festival in Maryland. It's called Maryland Doom Fest. In fact, we went this year.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
we'd love to have you guys there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
Sirathon Gall closed it out this
Yeah.
year. Yeah.
Maryland Death Fest or Maryland Doom Fest?
Doom Fest.
we
It's
went
much
to
smaller.
both, but
Yeah, it's much smaller than the Death Fest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Played it 3 times.
Oh, cool. All right.
and like
Carl
have you
played
played
it twice, and
twice? Yeah.
I'm sure I'll be getting a call from JB because
That's great.
we're probably up for next year, and it's just I just got to give him a call and say, dude, we feel like playing, and
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
I love it. I mean, it's a family. I know so many people there. It's like, I'm still shook, from Dale, losing Dale, and I mean, Sherman, I was close with him too, so it's like both them guys. It's just like I can't imagine being there without them too. So that's
Yeah.
like just a bummer for that whole area.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's DC. We always call it the Doom Capital. So since the old days, so we always want to play it. So I know that if JB wants us, we'll be there next year.
that's awesome.
That's great. Yeah.
I might try to
Love it.
talk him into letting the Skull play one night and Legion of Doom play another night, because we've been doing that
That'd be great.
in Chicago. So it's like 2 completely different sets, which would be fun. I could hang out the weekend and have a good time.
That'd be
Yeah.
rad.
You
Yeah.
can do the dope Static X thing, on either side.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, thank you guys for doing this and answering all my questions I've had for the last 25 years.
Man,
Thank you. Then
yeah.
go ahead, Karl. You first.
No. I was just say thank you very much.
This was awesome.
Yeah.
This made my night, man.
Falling on deaf ears.
Anyway, okay. Deaf Ears 1.
This is Nervous Eaters with Rock and Roll Your Heart Away. At my office, the music is set to a classic rock channel that seems to shuffle through the same 30 to 40 songs every day. All bona fide hits, but God, it gets so old for me all day, every day. A constant parade of the same old, same old. For someone like me who likes to constantly add new entries into my liked song list, I wonder why some get satisfied with such a limited choices. Maybe they like that classic style. Well, where would one go for new classic rock? How about going right to the original source? The Nervous Eaters were forging the way 40 years ago, becoming legendary in the underground Boston rock punk scene. Now, returning once again with their 6th full-length album, just 2 years after the last offering. These 10 new tracks bop by in 36 minutes, most in the 2 to 5 minute range, and as the album cover suggests, are largely about the universal rock themes of boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy finds another girl who may or may not be a vampire.
The opening track, Rock and Roll Your Heart Away, is an upbeat anthem celebrating the Rathskeller, the venue where they were always very much in demand as the house band. The rock and roll tenets and pop punk sensibilities are packed in spades. The drums of David McLean start for a measure alone in a stutter pulse that continues throughout the heartbeat of this song. Enter the piano of Jim Sullivan plinking sprightly away over jangly riffs of Steve Collado and Adam Sherman. Collado's vocals are half sung and half spoken with a punchy melody, has a pleasing rasp around the edges that seems to still show the stylistic influences of Rick Ocasek, who once helped produce the band's demos. The whole album just has more hooks than a fat lady's bra. Vampire has layered vocals with chimey upbeat riffs, tambourine fills, and drums building the tension until boiling over in a roll. Lyrics starting out in longer phrases that shorten in quick clips. Valerie's a vampire, no one takes you higher, ice cold fire, sundown, turn around, everybody's going down. While the girl next door uses bouncing drums, slightly echoey riffs that trade off, mirroring the melody of the refrain. The bass of Carissa Johnson adds further depth and extremely head-bob-inducing. The punk-like repetition of she's a girl is downright contagious. Equally grabby are the rhyming lyrics in Don't Need to Make You Mine, layered over jangly upbeat riffs and the sprightly piano plunking away.
The slower ballads of the bunch are New Face with more plaintive, longer guitar tones and a haunting synth line, as the lyrics express the regrets to an ex who reinvented herself and moved on. In the Shadows is in a similar vein, but still manages to remain upbeat. Colado's vocals change into a falsetto for the chorus, Love's Gonna Die in the Shadow, for a most goosebump-inducing effect. So much going on here, but if I had to pick a favorite, it would be Charlene. It's a packed track that would not be out of place on an early Aerosmith record. Guitar riffs whining out in the repeated oscillating refrain that will have you singing along. Wah, 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 wah. The organ brings a Doors-like mystical atmosphere throughout. There's a crunch-tastic guitar solo by Collado, while McLean's drums are a steady hammering beat, with Johnson plucking out groovy bass line. Just try to keep your shoulders from shimmering and join in the hey, hey, hey that busts out like hand claps.
Remember the words of the great Jim Morrison, who said, I am the Lizard King. We're out of mustard. Collado's songwriting is what one would expect from a seasoned pro who has honed his craft since the groundbreaking beginnings. The road may not have always been smooth on their journey, but something has to be said for the cult following that is super excited to again have new music from this reformed band, and they have caught fire once again. To quote Huey Lewis, this album is a testament that the heart of rock and roll is still beating. So forget the same old classic rock. The Nervous Eaters, as they say, are masters of that old backbeat rhythm that really drives them wild.
Do, 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 do.
Yep. So this song is Charlene. Okay, Deaf Ears 2 is the new album from Satan, Songs in Crimson. So many bands form with that all for one, one for all attitude, ready to go the distance. But in the world of rock and roll, there are so many obstacles to success. Drugs, alcohol, lineup changes, the rigors of touring, bad management, bad labels, friends, people who say they're your friends, the list goes on and on. When a band is able to stay true to their original vision and produce consistent quality music across multiple decades, they deserve every accolade. A few monikers to come to mind like Pearl Jam, High on Fire, and Deceased, resisting the temptation to compromise their original vision and staying true to their fan base.
Perhaps the best example of all this is the legendary new wave of British heavy metal band Satan. Their rock-solid 80s discography boasting gems like Court in the Act and Suspended Sentence. And since their reformation in 2011, they've done nothing but produce one quality album after another. Songs in Crimson is their 7th full-length since coming together way back in 1979. These 10 songs are packed into a very 80s-friendly runtime of 45 minutes and continue to cement the band's legacy as they move through their 5th decade as a major force in metal.
The guitar tandem of Steve Ramsey and Russ Tippins, the latter of which I swear has some secret stash of Dick Clark youth serum, they've never sounded better, augmenting every one of these tracks with their signature majestic harmonies and tasteful solos. And who can deny the vocal power of the legendary Brian Ross? From classic stuff like Avenger to Blitzkrieg, another great band he's continued to keep active, to this album's stellar performance, he's truly one of the greatest vocalists to come out of the new wave of British heavy metal.
The Van Halen-ish intro into martyrdom is one of the many shades of color the guitar duo pulls from their bag of tricks, along with an interesting and unexpected slide guitar solo. The politically charged burner, Turn the Tide, bounces along in a near thrash pace, recalling the band's Pariah era, frosted with goosebump-inducing chorus from Ross. Longtime UK producer Dave Karl dials up another great mix for the record. Graham English, great name.
What a great name.
Underpinning every track with warm, burbling bass lines. The album closes with a very chuggy title track, which alternates between maiden-informed swing and atonal Robert Fripp-esque riffing, the true expert in Deadly Crimson.
We have no intention of boogieing. This album fits in very well with the unintentional theme of this show, elder statesmen showing the younger bands how it's done. Here's hoping these guys can put together an East Coast tour sometime soon, but if you're lucky enough to be a European fan, they're all over the place this September, so don't miss your chance to see this fighting fit group of legends in your town. This song is Turn the Tide.
Forces
Okay, Deaf Ears 3 is the new album from the Dictators, self-titled. Now, I gotta admit, I was a little bummed when I heard that the new Dictators lineup would record sans their frontman, the one and only Handsome Dick Manitoba, sermonizing with his merry men about nose-picking, feet-smelling, and other juvenile preoccupations. I couldn't see how these guys could recreate the combination of playful attitude, high volume, and comedic flair so necessary to the band's style. It's not enough to say these guys don't take themselves seriously. I don't think they take anything seriously. But glancing over these 10 song titles, particularly the opener, Let's Get the Band Back Together, which actually was released a couple years ago, successfully delivered enough free-flowing macho bravura to pique my curiosity about the rest of the album, which features bass player Andy Chernoff handling vocal duties, the unmistakable guitar of Ross the Boss, and guest drummer Albert Bouchard. Yeah, he's the dude from Blue Oyster Cult. It's tough not to give him the benefit of the doubt. The good news is these elder statesmen find a way to deliver an album in 2024 with a combination of power and tomfoolery that few others could conjure.
The hijinks sort of permeate every song. My imaginary friend packs in chaotic whoa-ahs and lines like, she joined a militia. She's quoting from scripture, leaving little doubt that you've most assuredly crash-landed into the land of the dictators. Ross has not lost a step. His flowing leads and crackling tone in the anthemic Sacred Cow are one of the disc's many highlights. The breezy and instantly likable chorus of Goddamn New York would have fit on the very first album, sure enough calling out a hedge fund vultures and Chinese billionaires, waxing nostalgic for the old days. The whole thing culminates in the brilliantly cranky closer, Thank You and Have a Nice Day, a track that boasts more fantastic leads from Ross and lyrical inspiration like, you can't get dumber, but you could get fatter, and you can't get into heaven in a fake bow tie. Apparently, it's a stupid time to be alive. Hey, we were all thinking it. They just had to say it.
Okay, so I will not be trading in my copy of Blood Brothers for this one, but the album is much better than expected. The fun is delivered via musical recklessness and childish cocksure execution. The punk sneer of youth has been replaced with a much stronger disgust of a bona fide American adulthood, but they still find a way to crack me up like the good old days. Viva la Dictators. This song is called Sacred Cow.
I was lost in a dream.
Hey, we made it through. Old dogs, new tricks.
Carnivals.
God, that giant slide burned my ass like you wouldn't believe.
You know, it doesn't surprise me at all that both Stephen King and Joe Hill have incorporated kind of horror stories involving carnivals. There's always kind of some, like some dark underbellies going on, or, all the carnies are doing some kind of rituals somewhere. I don't know.
And betas want to be alphas. Who knew?
And my poor mother's pond. She has more problems with that pond.
Remember, the one koi fish was her favorite. It hurt itself somehow. It had like a little cut. She was going to put
Neosporin
on the fish.
I thought,
I don't
you're
think
putting it
back in the water. I don't see that. I don't think it works on fish.
This has been the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast. Special thanks to the gang from Legions of Doom for appearing on the show. Snaggletooth theme courtesy of Young's Kemgren of the Firebombs. Deaf Ears theme by Tim Green of the Fucking Champs. Season 3 artwork courtesy of KC Angel. You can find him on Instagram at KC Angel Art. Deaf Ears band, so you want to check out, get your pens out, people, Legions of Doom. Also check out Satan, The Dictators, and Nervous Eaters. All content 2024, the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.
Daddy, I don't want to get on the ride. It's okay, little bastard.
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.